Hey, this is a special episode because he's a personal buddy of ours. I'm, of course, talking about Tyler Shainline. He's here to talk about his new book, The Beef, which he does with Richard Starkings and Shaky, Kane. The first issue of this miniseries is out on Wednesday, February 28th, in comic book stores everywhere in Comixology. But, you know, it's Tyler. We talk the book, and it's just a damn...
I don't like the guy.
Oh.
Nope. Get the interview over with.
You know, not many times do I think that we oftentimes have a good connection with our interviewers or with our interviewees, but not very many times do I think that I actually genuinely become friends with someone during the interview. That did happen this time.
Oh! You can hear that happen yourself right here on the air, right here, right now. And joining us this week, we have a friend of the show, and really, Jake, you would just say just friend as well?
The most wonderful gentleman this planet has ever produced.
There's more than one guest?
Oh, shit. This is awkward.
Yeah. We got to get Sebastian back on?
Yeah.
Tyler Shainline, you're doing The Beef with Image Comics with Richard Starkings and Shaky Kane out on February 28th. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. This is probably my favorite geek-related, comic-related podcast, so I'm honored to be on here, and you guys are fine gentlemen as well.
Oh, appreciate it.
Oh, man. There's more than just us?
Not in my world, man.
Oh, Jesus. So, okay, we've read the first issue. I just have to say, this book is, and I'm sure this is the intent, because I know you, motherfucker. Yes. This is the most fucking bananas book we probably have ever done in the history of this show.
Oh, that makes me feel so good.
It's quite wonderful.
Like,
I appreciate it.
You know, we have a book review coming out that'll coincide with this interview as we normally do. And Jake and I kind of turned to each other in the middle of this interview and like, we can't even spoil this thing because one, nobody would believe us. They'd just be like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Yeah. And it just like it defies explanation. It just like so many things, it just is.
Wow, I really appreciate that. I mean, that's what I love about comic books. I love bonkers banana stuff. I mean, Shaky's art is, I think, captures it perfectly. That guy is from another world, really is. And Richard's writing along with me has just been a lot of fun. He grounds it a little bit more. He a lot more of the more sensible stuff is coming from his area.
I do have somewhat of a bone to pick with you, sir, because one of the biggest assholes in the entire book is wearing a Kiss Army t-shirt.
Oh, it's because Kiss fucking sucks.
That's because you fucking suck, sir. I only wanted you on this podcast so I can tell you how much you suck, sir. Sam in the call. Get this prick off our show.
So wait, are we re-recording the book review then?
Yeah, I'm going to re-record the book review. Fuck this guy. No, when I read that, I was like, "Oh, Tyler, you son of a bitch."
Oh, I have a Kiss story to go along with that. If we have time. Oh,
please,
okay.
Yes, please.
So my problem with Kiss stems all the way back to I went to a Christian school when I was younger, and first or second grade, third grade, there was this thing that was sent home to everybody that no Kiss, nobody could wear anything with Kiss shirts, no Kiss stuff, no Kiss binders, no Kiss anything. And I was like, holy shit, Kiss must be fucking awesome because this place sucks. So if they don't like Kiss, Kiss must be rad. And so I went to the record store with my dad, and I went and I looked for Kiss records. I was like, holy shit, these guys, they stepped right out of fucking hell. This is amazing. Oh my God, I gotta hear Kiss. And they wouldn't buy me the album. I finally got my grandma to buy me Kiss shoelaces. And so I showed up one day to school with Kiss shoelaces. It's got Gene Simmons, the Demon, on it. And I'm all, hey, everybody, check this out. Pulled up my what are those? My husky those things are like cardboard that Sears used to sell, these fake jeans. I pulled them up and I showed them the laces, and they were like, "Oh my God, those are awesome." I was like, "Yeah, it's Kiss, baby. Don't tell anybody." They told, and my Kiss shoelaces were confiscated. I was no longer allowed to have my Kiss shoelaces, and I was like, "God damn, Kiss must be so awesome. I can't wait to hear Kiss." And so finally, same grandma, I got her to buy me a Kiss album. And I put that thing on, and it started off, and it's all, "We're gonna rock you tonight, do, we're gonna rock you. Oh, we like to rock. We're rock." What is this shit? I mean, I was expecting blood and gore and demons and metal, and it was bubblegum pop at best.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame your Christian school on that one. They set up Kiss to be unattainable.
No. I mean, later on, I would find the Misfits and other stuff, and and I would, okay, that's what I thought they were going to be, and no, it was, there's a couple of decent songs, but also the people I went to school with later on in life, I found douchebags and dickheads and dipshits and morons gravitated towards Kiss, so that was the other problem I had with them. How you doing, Jake?
You good, man? I
was about to say that's Jake to it.
I did a podcast series where I reviewed every single album they ever did,
even Animalize.
Oh my God!
Do you remember what
live album? Do
you remember what album you got? What the album was?
And I'm pretty sure it was Destroyer. Like I want to say it was Destroyer.
Yeah, that's the
one with them all
glad it
jumping
wasn't
on the
Lick
front
It
of
Up
it.
because that's my favorite.
What's that?
That's the one with them all jumping on the front of it, like all kind of stepping out. Yeah, it was that. 'Cause I was like, God damn, these dudes look fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, they're such a visual band because I mean, like the first time no one ever.
Yeah, they're definitely not. They're not a musical band whatsoever.
Yeah. No one ever hears Kiss. It's like their stories aren't like, "Oh my God, I heard Kiss," and then it's always "I saw Kiss." You know what I mean? Like the same kind of thing too. Like I remember seeing Kiss in a magazine and being like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Ace. Like Ace was the lead guitarist. Like his riffs and solos are what like got me totally into it. But I mean, yeah, they were never a metal band like ever. But of course, the visuals of the blood spitting and the fire and the demon and all that kind of stuff. Like it's not necessarily what Kiss is, in terms of sonically.
And to be clear, I'm just joking. Everybody should like what they like. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's probably a Counting Crows show or two in my past I'd like to cover up. So everyone's got their secrets, man.
Yeah. No, I got a kick when I saw the biggest asshole in the whole book is wearing a Kiss Army T-shirt.
and I'll be honest, I can't remember if that was in the script or if that's just something Shaky put in there because that's very plausible too. Because there's a lot of icons that we've used in that book, and that's one of them.
Also, speaking of Shaky, he I realized this when we were doing the book review. Like, he drew one of my favorite one-shots of all time, which was That's Because You're a Robot.
Yes!
Is one of the craziest fucking... I love that book so much.
That dude is bonkers. Back when I was still working at Image, I was a production manager. I can't remember if it was that book or for Captain Dinosaur. It was one of his books. And, we were emailing back and forth, this and that, getting friendly. And then one day this envelope arrives from the UK. It has all those UK stamps. We get stuff from the UK and all this stuff, Royal Airmail, all that stuff on it. Like, what the hell is this?
Queens everywhere.
And I open it up, and it's just full of candy and rubber bugs and weird knickknacks. And I was like, what? There's all this stuff spilling out of my desk. What is this? And like a little note in there from Shaky. Just Shaky says hi. And I think one of his other books was in there. It was awesome. I was like, well, this guy's right up my alley.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the art on this is, like we talked about it in the review, it's fucking insane and doesn't hold back, which is fantastic.
No. Yeah, this was one of those books where, like, Jake and I, like, I always email everybody the books. I'm like, okay, this is who we're going to be talking to today. Like a Sunday school teacher, just like, okay, class. And, Jake and I kind of like looked at each other, like having read it at our respective homes, and we were just like, "The fuck was that?" Like, not.
Oh, that makes you so happy.
Well, I was telling Sam too, like finishing that first issue, getting to the last page, and I was like, I've never been more excited and fascinated to see what the fucking next panel is going to be. Like, you know what I mean?
That's great.
Yeah.
The hook. Got the hook.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You got me hook, line, and sinker, man.
Yeah. Okay. What is the origin of the beef?
All right. So the beef has a fairly convoluted, long gestating origin that goes back to New York Comic Con, like 2011, 2012, something like that, or maybe even earlier. But I'm at a dinner with some various people that worked at Image or whatever. And Richard Starkings, he and I were friends of Elephant Men fame and other stuff. He was texting with somebody at the table, and that person was telling him who their favorite superheroes were. And I was, being the jokey asshole I can be, and I was like putting down whatever they liked. And so they said, well, who do you like? Who are your favorite superheroes? And I'm all the Hulk, the Thing, Savage Dragon, Hellboy. And Richard Starkings texted back, those guys are a bunch of knuckleheads. I'm all, yeah, that's why I like those characters. They're goofballs. They don't take themselves too seriously. The Hulk, separately from that, I guess. But they'd be a lot of fun. And then Richard was like, we should do a book together called The Knuckleheads, about a team of 4 superheroes that are just dumbasses that just punch their way through things. And I was all, let's do it. So we started working on that. And then at the same time, another book called Knuckleheads came out, like from some other publisher. I can't remember who it was. And we kind of discussed it, and we decided to change it. And around the same time, he started finding out about the town I grew up in, Stockton, California, and he had been there a few times, and he just mentioned how that place just stunk of cow shit, which it does. Friends would drive in there to visit me, and they'd be like, it just smells like cow shit as soon as you get into this town. I'm like, oh yeah, big time. And so a lot of that early stuff that's in the book from the younger Carter's point of view is from my childhood. Like there's things that represent different people in different places and things that existed there. And he said, that's the book. That's the we need to write about. And so that's where that drew from. Oh. And then the actual beef part of it, him becoming this irradiated, spoiler alert, big beef man, came from Richard's knowledge and his life of being a vegetarian, a vegan, and his knowledge of what beef does to your body while you eat it. And so he brought that to the table as well, and we combined our forces of my nonsense and ridiculousness and his writing ability and his knowledge of the subject matter.
How did you enlist Shaky to render the aforementioned beef man?
Shaky had worked on some Elephant Men's with Richard, done a couple other things here and there. I think Richard, I think Richard might have done some editing for him, some stuff. They were friends. And Shaky and I, at that point, were casual friend acquaintances through working at Image while he was doing books there too. And we just kind of all got together and pitched it to Eric, and who's a big fan of Shaky's, thankfully, definitely not of mine. But and he gave it the go-ahead.
And then, I mean, is this the first? This is the first. I mean, you're credited, production manager on. I remember you had like a special thanks in like the Shadowhawk Chronicles by. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the Valentino book. Is this your first written work?
No, I'd done a book with Andy Suriano, who's a Disney animator. He's the guy behind the new Ninja Turtles cartoon that's coming out. He also does a great book called Cosmic Scoundrels that came out from IDW. And in that same universe as Cosmic Scoundrels is a character we created called Liberty Justice, which is basically Pam Grier in outer space. And we did a couple of big oversized comics of that we self-published, and then it also ran as a backup in a few different comics, Elephant Men, Burn the Orphanage, and some others that it ran as backups in. And then before that, I wrote for various websites about movies and would do interviews with different people. Like I got to interview Freddie and George Romero and a bunch of other people too. But this is probably my first published long form thing.
Yeah, I mean it's like, we can't say it enough. It's out of this world. That's cool. You talked to George Romero and Fred Englund.
Yeah, Robert Englund, Gunnar Hansen, Kane Hot, pretty much anyone that's alive that I wanted to talk to, I've gotten to talk to, and it was a weird thing. I worked at a used bookstore, and a dude half price this name withheld bookstore that bought used DVDs, and this dude kept selling me all these used DVDs. They were brand new, and I was like, dude, what's up? Are these stolen? And he was an older guy that was super nice, and he's like, no, I do movie reviews, and they send me all these movies, and he's all, I hear you talk about movies when I'm in here all the time. You should do this. And then they didn't have anybody doing anything about horror. And I was like, all right, I'll be the horror guy. And then I just all of a sudden had all these interviews. It was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest few years there for a while.
I remember, back in October, I remember seeing your Krebs Star Cinema stuff, and it was like just going through like every year, like this is my favorite horror movie, and then you had to struggle through the 90s.
Yes, the 90s were trying to pick movies to show for the 90s, and it was it gets to a rough time, which is sad because the 90s is that was my decade, that was my prime, man. Everything was great then, but except for horror, great music, some other great movies, arguably good comics. But the horror movies, not so much.
Yeah. I ask everybody that has an interest in horror. I don't know if the Beef necessarily qualifies as horror, but fuck it. It's, we can.
It could as body. I've heard it described as body horror.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, you fuck up some cows in that first issue. Pretty hard.
Yeah. Oh, well, in the second issue, when you start to see what happens to his own, with Chuck's own body, what happens to him, it gets a little gruesome for sure.
Very Cronenbergian.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't remember the exact thing that Richard said to me at one point, but he's like, you just can't have him shitting. We can't do this. And I was like, that's how he gets out. No. So no, there's definitely a twinge of horror, but yeah.
Looking forward to issue 2.
I love I love horror stuff so much that I'd rather read it or watch it than make it, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we'll talk to like horror like artists and stuff, and they're not big on horror, but they're like, but I enjoyed drawing it, and I was just like, okay, well,
that's interesting.
Yeah, like Declan Shalvey, who does like Injection, which is like, yeah, he was just like, I'm not big on, I got my start doing Irish horror comics. I don't really particularly enjoy the genre, but I enjoy drawing it, and I was just like, okay, well
there
done.
You go.
But the question I was going to ask is somebody that, with a background in horror. Who's your favorite slasher?
Oh, Jason, hands down. Not even a question. Like, if this was a video right now, I would hold up a thing and show you there's a Jason mask behind me. Yeah, no, Jason's my guy. Jason, Freddy, then Leatherface. But then those are just ones that have multiple movies. But then there's movies like Pieces. Like, that's my favorite slasher movie. Pieces is fucking gonzo bonkers. New York Ripper, But if you're talking iconic, legacy, franchisable people, Jason.
I noticed you didn't mention Michael Myers at all on that rundown.
I do love Michael Myers. I do. The first Halloween, John Carpenter is my one of my top 2 favorite American directors. I think he's amazing. I think Halloween is great, but Halloween just has. I mean, Jesus Christ! Eventually, you're going to have to watch Busta Rhymes and Michael Myers fight in a burning building if you want to fucking watch all those movies.
And canonically, is it Busta Rhymes that
wins?
Yeah, is able to overtake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although, thanks to John Carpenter, that won't be canon for very long.
It's true. I am extremely hesitant but excited at the same time. I mean, I'm a big fan of Eastbound and Down and the other stuff that what's his name has done. So I'm curious what he's going to bring to the Halloween movies.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That's I don't know idea. I don't. I mean, I love Michael Myers, but when I say that, it's really because I love the first 2, like in terms of like Michael Myers stuff, obviously, because I love that Halloween 2 is Rocky 2. Like it literally just picks up seconds after, and they even go to a hospital, which is funny, just like Rocky 2.
I actually have a Haddonfield hospital sweatshirt that I was wearing at my kid's school recently, and someone was like, "Oh, are you work at a hospispital?" And I'm all, "No, this is from Halloween 2. I'm a child, you see. I'm an adult. I'm really just in a 3 children inside of a trench coat right now." So
exactly. Well, I remember you pointed out to me on Twitter one of my favorite shirts of all time now, which is the He-Man Ultimate Warrior crossover shirt, which is just freaking perfect.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god!" I know there's one person in this world that can appreciate this, and I hope he does.
I remember I looked at like I guess it was one of those like buy it by a certain day and then it's gone forever deals, and I pulled it up at work and it was like you have 10 minutes, and I was like, everybody out of the fucking way! I gotta get a good Wi-Fi signal. Move, and just like running around
it's
and like
phenomenal.
It's classic, man. Well, you always have, whenever we see you at cons, you always have like the best like those like parody type shirts. Because you have that one. What's that one Masters of the Universe one you have?
He also, Tyler had all the Yuletide themed geek and pop culture shirts last month.
I'm a huge Christmas fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Christmas. So yeah, that's my, from Halloween through Christmas, that's my time of year. But yeah, and yeah, I do. I always pride myself on being able to track down some pretty fun T-shirts, and I've always been lucky enough to have awesome friends that find them and send them to me. One of my friends, I think you guys remember Branwyn. She was the accounts manager at Image. She used to send me links all the time, like check out this shirt, check out this shirt. So I'm blessed to have people out there helping me out with that.
The amount of He-Man related shirts that are like parody shirts, I think Masters of the Universe might be the best tapped source for like parody T-shirts, and not just Masters of the Universe, but Skeletor related shirts. Like, there's so many Skeletor related shirts that I haven't bought one yet because I can't just pick. There's like I see one, I'm like that one. Like one of my favorites is they have the Misfits Crimson Ghost painted yellow with like a purple hood, so it's like Skeletor, but it's also the Misfits.
I'll wear that for you at Emerald City this year, buddy.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, no,
I've got that in the closet. Yeah, I think I actually bought that at Emerald City. Now that I think about it, one year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the He-Man stuff. Well, you have that. Which comic was
the new? I think you're talking about the New Mutant. There's
Mutants.
the New Mutants cover that I have. That's all He-Man related.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I was like, I'm gonna get along with this guy.
Yes,
just fine. Unless he hates Kiss.
Yeah.
Then fuck him.
And then I'm gonna love him.
Yes.
And then
he
he's going to show
quality
me the
taste.
error of my ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just remember, like, was it San Diego where we all first met, and you were just talking about fucking, like, Jake had sold you so hard on Cobra that right then and there you just pulled out your phone and ordered Cobra.
Yeah, that was.
It was waiting for me when I got home.
Yeah.
It helped kick the con crud out of me.
We went to like dinner or something
With the Man of Action team.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it was. And we were making our way back, and for some reason we got on talking about Cobra, and I think that's where we realized, like, oh, we like 80s trashy movies.
Yes.
And yeah, we just got on this Cobra kick, and you're like, I'm buying this now.
Well, it was like $11 on Blu-ray. Come on, man. I'm only human.
Yeah. Yes.
Crime is the disease.
Yeah,
He's
the
cure.
fucking cure. Well, I remember Stallone once on his Instagram, he posted like, I think it was a weird photoshopped version of that iconic poster. Which that poster, if you want to have like a somewhat off the rails, but you know he's gonna get it done cop in a movie, you just put the Cobra poster in the background, like, and you're like that guy. He's kind of like the Han Solo. Yeah. It's like any teenager that needs to be like a punk rock badass kid, but you know he's got a heart of gold. He has a Misfits something in his room somewhere. I think Freddy vs. Jason has that. Where like one of the
that
kids,
or like a Thing poster.
Oh yeah. Well, if they want you to know it's the 80s, they'll pop a Thing poster up.
Oh my God! I was just watching a movie. Oh, what the hell was I watching? And the kid had it took place in the 80s, and the kid had a Thing poster, a Gremlins poster, a Thing poster. Oh, it was It. It was an It. The beginning of It, the kid has a Thing poster.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way that fucking kid got an It poster in Illinois in 1988. Bullshit. But that was a good movie, though, actually.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. Yes, I enjoyed it.
It was a roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there wasn't any of the weird orgy fucking going on. So that was nice.
Thank God.
Which I'd actually forgotten about until my friend Jill. Shout outs to Jill. She was. Wait, can we do shout outs on the show?
Yeah, you can do.
You can. No one else can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you
like,
did it without asking ahead of time. You can.
She had asked, so was the movie any good? Was the sex scene still in there? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And somehow I blocked that weird, the fact that she had banged all the all her friends in that book. And I was like, I somehow forgot about that part.
Yeah.
It's not in the 1990 version either.
No,
it's
TV.
not. I got it brought up by my son's kindergarten teacher, who I let borrow the movie, and she was like, "Well, the sex scene wasn't in there, thankfully." I was like, "What the?
Why does everyone know about the sex scene but me?"
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I did not know about it until people were like, "Oh, I'm so glad they didn't put it in there." Same, like the same as you, and I'm like, "The fuck are you all talking about?"
Yeah.
Yes.
These are all children.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, yeah, that's why we're glad it's not in there.
Exactly.
Stephen King's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, dude. You don't want to get a boner in a movie theater these days. You'll get in trouble.
So, Jake, how's your Paddington 2 experience?
Paddington 2, speaking of boners in theaters.
Great, good things come in bears.
Paddington 2 was fucking great. I love.
Oh, I'm going to see it on Friday. No joke. I fucking loved that first movie.
I need to watch. My sister, whenever I say this story, I'm like, my sister's 22 years old. Like, when I tell a lot of people, I think they think she's like 5 because I'm like, oh, my sister loved Paddington. But she was like, Jake, you have to watch it. Jake, you have to watch it. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll check it out. Yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's so cute, blah, blah, blah. And then I guess she was like, let's go see 2. I was like, okay, fine. And I realized the mom is the, what's her name, Sally from Shape of Water, who I like a lot.
Yes.
Her performance in that's astounding. But anyway, so I was like, okay, cool. And then I realized it was Q from the Daniel Craig era Bond movies is yes! Paddington. So I was like, I'm definitely in. And Hugh Grant.
All it took was me to see Brendan Gleeson in a prisoner chef outfit.
Fantastic. Yeah, but I mean, the movie is like it is no bullshit a great freaking movie. Like
the first one was too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got to go watch the first one now. I think it's on
my
Netflix.
God, yeah, absolutely. Like I have a group of friends. We get together once a month. We do a thing called A Most Violent Breakfast, and we watch. I try and find the most fucked up movies I can find, gore, horrible things that happen in them.
Yeah.
And we were talking about movies we're looking forward to, and I was like, oh, I'm really looking forward to Paddington 2. And they're all, bleh. I'm all, fuck you guys. And I gave them my copy of Paddington. I'm like, you fucking watch Paddington.
Yeah.
And you tell me that movie's not good.
Yeah.
Well, guess who enjoyed Paddington? Fucking everybody, because that movie is enjoyable.
It is impossible. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen the first one, but it is like nobody left Paddington 2 going, what the fuck was that? Like, it was just, it's just so perfectly wonderful, delightful. And then something we've been talking about a lot is like, it has a great last line. Like, so many, like, you think back to like movies, and like, there are movies that I don't necessarily love that have a great last line that I leave the theater and the line is so good that I'm like, that movie wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Like, it'll cure all wrongs. Like Man of Steel.
Like when Skeletor pops up at the end of Masters of the Universe after the credits.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, like in Man of Steel. Like, I have a very complicated...
Shut the fuck up. I mean, go on, sir. This is your show.
I have a super complicated relationship with that movie. But I remember, like, going to see it for the first time and being, like, so disappointed. Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then at the end, when she's like... this is how stupid I am. And Tyler, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the movie, where she's like, welcome to the planet. And he's like, glad to be here. And I'm like, you motherfuck. That is so clever. I love the shit out of this. And I remember leaving the theater, and it took me until I got to the car, and I was like, oh, wait, I don't like that movie that much.
Well, that's like when I went and saw Logan with a bunch of people at Emerald. I think
we talked about it. Yeah,
yeah. You went to the showing like,
and at the very end
us.
when they put that when they have the cross in the ground for Logan's corpse. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And she goes and she switches it to an X. I just burst out laughing. Ruined it for a lot of people, I think, because I was like, oh, God.
Well, I remember it was so great because we all, get to the con early the next morning, and we had most of the people at the Image crew had seen it somehow. You know what I mean? Like, not all together.
That day.
And I remember you come walking in, and you're just like, just walking towards me, and you're like, a clone? X fucking 20, whatever the fuck he is, 24. Yeah. And that was that. And there has, and I've said it a million times on this podcast too, but Logan was one of those movies where I've come to peace with Logan. I do like Logan now, but like when I was watching it that first time, I was like so fucking into that movie. Like the first, act and a half where I was like, I love this, like, blah, 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 I love it. And then they bring in like younger clone Hugh Jackman. And I was like, they can't, with X-Men movies, they have to fuck it up. They have to bring in this like stupid, pointless thing. And I sat there like a child the rest of the movie just like, nope. I hate all this. Is stupid. This is stupid.
Well, when it started off with racist depictions of Latino Americans boosting the car essay, I was like, oh, it's like that. I thought, all right, cool. Let's just see all right. Well, at least I'm gonna get my Reavers. I'm gonna get the Reavers. I'm gonna get the dude with the fucking tank treads for a bot. Oh no, they're just gonna be UFC fighters with robot parts. Okay, all right, that's cool. I'll make my own movie in my mind. You know what? You can't take that away.
You know what would have been great?
Make my own movie with hookers and blow.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? Forget the movie.
I would have loved if we didn't know you were in the theater with us, and that scene happened in the end, and we hear her burst out laughing. I'm like, oh, fucking Tyler's here.
You were mentioning that you let your friends borrow Paddington earlier. I think Chris will appreciate this. Tyler, you and Chris are among the holdouts. You are both analog in an increasingly digital world.
Oh, yeah, I'm staring at an entire wall with it just being VHS, DVD, all that stuff.
I can't stare at it because we're in a separate room, but just the room over, I have a wall of laser discs.
Oh my God, dude! Keep talking. We'll go back to the boner talk earlier. Keep going.
No, I've got together a collection of over 200 movies now. Which is probably about half of the movies that were ever put on Laserdisc.
I was gonna say,
and my love of Laserdiscs has become so legendary that for Christmas a couple years ago, a group of friends or coworkers got together and bought me a brand new, to me, obviously not a new machine, but a brand new Laserdisc player that actually has the lasers on both sides, so I don't have to get up and flip the disc.
That's legendary. Oh, I knew a girl in high school that had one. I always want. Oh, I'm very impressed. That's awesome.
Come over anytime.
That's love. That's friends, man. Yeah. That's friendship right there.
Yeah.
I remember Laserdisc blew my mind where she had. I think it was Pulp Fiction, and we were able to program it so we could watch it in chronological order.
Oh. I haven't dabbled in the program. I know you can do it, just like you can make your own like playlist on an old CD or something like that.
Yeah,
just by telling it to.
Phenomenal.
might dick around with that someday, because I too have a copy of Pulp Fiction signed by Phil Lamar.
What?
Yeah.
Static Shock himself?
Yeah. He was at AwesomeCon a couple years ago, and had all these people, coming up, having him sign like, Samurai Jack and Justice League stuff. Probably mostly Samurai Jack because that was right when the new season came out or was announced or whatever. But then here I come up with a fucking Laserdisc of one of the few times he's been like a live action actor.
Yes.
And it blew his fucking mind.
He's gonna be at Emerald City this year. If you have
Is he?
So if you have a Laserdisc copy of Pulp Fiction, maybe lightning can strike twice.
Yeah.
Maybe it can. Maybe
it'd be so cool if he remembered me. He's like, oh man, you're the second person to come up here with
security.
Oh man, but yeah, so. My God, it was really cool. Like, I didn't know that you had this thing, like the beef. It's gonna sound so weird. I didn't know that you had the beef in you.
Oh, the beef is in all of us, sir. You stand still long enough.
And
what?
When you first announced it on Facebook and or Twitter, I was like, he's fucking, what the fuck is this? He's joking. And then, I work for the magazine now. I write for the magazine, and I saw
you do.
Yeah, I saw this entire multi-page feature about the beef, and there was your picture in it with a monkey on your head. And I was not a metaphor. But the
the first photo I wanted to give that didn't work or whatever, and I was like, oh, I have this photo that Bradwood took when we were on the set of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the monkey. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, which is what the version that made to print, and I was like, "Oh, this is real. I need to reach out and get him on the show right now."
Yeah.
This. Yeah, I mean, you were saying this thing has been gestating for 7 years, so it's just the fact that this is coming out, and it's our Jake, it's our dear good friend, and it's the fucking wild, it is a book. It's an unpredictable book, but at the same time, it's a book that only you can craft.
Yeah, well, and with Richard Starkings and Shaky, I mean, it's definitely all three of us pulling the weight on that. It's just a lot of fun, and it's, believe it or not, there's a message in there too. It unfolds as the story goes on, because. Especially, and you know what's funny is this was being written way before the times we're in now. I don't want to get political on here necessarily, but there's a lot of that deals with Mexican Americans and the way that they're treated, especially the stuff that I saw growing up, and that's in the book. And then all of a sudden we've got Trump becomes president, and all these things that we were writing about, I was writing about or making notes about, are just becoming commonplace again. And I thought we'd gotten past that. So it was a weird timing for that too. And I was like, oh, I'm actually kind of glad this book took this long, because it's really coming out in a point in time where these things are going to mean a little bit more, I think.
I mean, but it's the way that you guys have it packaged. I think it would catch people like a turnaround punch.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, you don't look at that going, oh, this is going to, gonna have some sort of a message or any sort of meaning to it. It's just like, this is a big beefy guy doing weird shit, which it absolutely is, and it has some absolutely irredeemable villains. And that was the thing that I want to do too, is I don't necessarily like villains that can be redeemed or that have good points to them. I like fucking bad guys. I like heels, goddammit. and that's, I think the Vodinos definitely are.
So they're the Vodinos are going to be the big bads, kind of carrying through this miniseries.
Yep, you'll be seeing them, and they'll be in a second. And they employ some other. The main Vodino, the grandfather, he runs the meat packing plant that Chuck works at, and he has been a thorn in Chuck's side. He may or may not have been responsible for the death of Chuck's father, and Chuck had to go to work for him because there's nowhere else to work in this town, and he has to go work for him, and he's had to put up with his grandsons his whole life and him, and I think that's where a lot of the rage that's inside Chuck comes from when he finally burst out into the beef in the latter half of the issue.
The beef is in all of us.
It's true.
Absolutely.
The beef. Tyler, I was wondering if we could talk about a serious subject real quick.
I know where you're going.
Do you?
Yeah. I think I do too.
Can we talk about well now if it's not, it's gonna sound. Can we talk about RoboCop?
Yes.
Absolutely. I still don't understand how you think RoboCop 3 is the better film, but teach his own.
Hey, it's the jetpack, man.
They finally got rid of that dead weight Peter Weller.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I actually got to interview the director of RoboCop 3.
Oh, really?
He also did the Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps, and I was interviewing him for those movies, and I was all, dude, RoboCop 3, what? and apparently he went into that to make an R-rated movie, and they were all, no, you're not. We have a cartoon coming out and action figures, so you got to take out anything good. Yeah. Here's a jetpack.
Yeah, here's a jetpack, and he can wear a machine gun on his arm now.
Absolutely. But yeah, fuck that movie. RoboCop, the original, it's almost. I know you think it is the perfect movie, and I'm going to say it's damn near perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's your relationship to it in terms of seeing it for the first time, or just how it plays in your life?
So if memory serves me right, and I had a neighbor, he was on the opposite side of the fence of me growing up. Like literally, like you move the plank, you could go into his backyard. Mm-hmm. And that family had one of those gigantic novelty-sized satellite dishes back in the 80s. And so they got every channel you could ever imagine, every HBO, all this stuff. You'd actually have to push the button so the satellite itself would move to catch the signal. And so we would watch all kinds of things. And one of the first movies I remember watching over there was RoboCop. And, I mean, it's got, what am I, 12, 11, 12, 13? It's got insane, awesome gore. It's got unbelievably great lines. Mm-hmm. It's got nudity. It's got drugs. It's got Red from That 70s Show. Yeah. I mean, it's got everything.
We'll talk about bad guys that are irredeemable. You know what I mean? Like, there's no room for sunlight. With Clarence Boddicker and all those. And Doug Jones.
Absolutely.
Or Dick Jones. Yeah. So.
And I mean, even Miguel Ferreira in there with his cocaine-induced bitches leave. I mean, it's
yeah. But also too, like, it's perfect because like everything about that movie from like that has to be one of the most iconic posters of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Stepping out of the car.
And as a kid, I even had the RoboCop Marvel comics like hanging on my wall. Like that first issue, OCP wants you. fucking. And then later on with the gorilla brother that he had on there, that in the comics, that was really weird.
I remember picking up the first issue of the Marvel RoboCop at my comic shop way back when before I started working there, and I remember I pulled it out of the back bin and I was looking around like, does anybody else fucking believe this? And then everyone's looking at me like, what the? It's RoboCop. What are you doing?
I think that same day, I found all 4 issues of the Judas Contract, the greatest Teen Titans story ever, and I was just like, yeah. And then
fuck that RoboCop.
Yeah, I was like, this is Marvel's RoboCop. But no, I mean, just I don't know, I'm preparing to do a a podcast solely about RoboCop.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and you'll definitely have to be on it.
I mean, is it going to dive into the cartoon series,
everything,
the live action series?
I'm doing everything. I'm going to do all the movies, the animated stuff, the video games, the TV show. I'm going to do everything.
Dude, somewhere I've got the audio of me interviewing Fred Decker about RoboCop 3. I'll have to find that for you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's somewhere. That's on a cassette somewhere.
Oh, nice. But I mean, seriously though, everything about it, and I think it all comes down to, for me at least, the design of the RoboCop suit.
Oh, absolutely.
That has to be one of the coolest looking things ever still to this day. Anytime I see it, it's just the coolest.
I like him bulky like that. I like my robots bulky. I don't like the skinny, slim down, fast looking robots. I like a robot the way he moved. Holy shit, man! That was when he came and he helped out in fucking WCW. That's when I was like, RoboCop.
It was Sting, right?
Yes, it was Sting. He helped rip the cage door off so Sting could get out. Oh man, it was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's funny. My dad found a old iTunes gift card for $100. He's like, I don't know, I don't use iTunes here. If it didn't expire, it's all yours. I was like, all right, cool. And I use Voodoo for all my digital stuff, just because it's that's how it's all there. And I was looking through, and I was like, it's funny now that I have a $100 gift card. I was like, now I don't know, I don't want to buy anything now that I have $100 to use, right?
Yes.
And so I was searching around. I was like, I got this album, I got that album, and I was like, why don't I just buy RoboCop and then the soundtrack? So I have the RoboCop soundtrack, which is just amazing. Just the best titles too. And then RoboCop, in HDX 1000 or whatever to play on, on my, have on my phone. If I'm in the middle of some boring place, I could pop on RoboCop real quick and be watch the cocaine shootout scene or whatever.
Watch Ed 209 fall down some stairs.
Oh yeah, I watched. There's the Flesh and Steel, I think, the documentary about it, and they talk about the humor of the stop motion of it's almost like he's dipping his toes to see if he can step on the stairs. And the great thing too is RoboCop doesn't keep running. He stops and watches it what's going to happen next?
This motherfucker.
What's going to happen next? And then he just fucking somersaults. He's like, I'm out of here. And he does the fastest you've ever seen RoboCop is the waddle he does. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I'll have to definitely have you on for something RoboCop related, because there's plenty to talk about, because Lord knows I love RoboCop, but I have not seen, I've seen I think one episode of RoboCop on YouTube, the animated series they did. And then there was the Alpha Squad or whatever.
The intro.
Yeah. But
I got some VHSs of those laying around. I think I watched all because it used to be it was on Sunday mornings, and they would run that cartoon with 2 other shows. And I'd be like, get through this bullshit. I want to watch RoboCop, and I have my RoboCop toys that have the caps in them, like that. Oh, good.
Well, you're welcome over anytime. I got a VCR. We can pop it in.
Oh shit! I'll bring the beef. You bring the VCR, we'll pop it in.
That's right.
The only thing I don't have is a functioning Betamax player.
I'm actually in the market for that right now myself. Betamax and Laserdisc are the 2 things that I'm looking for, actually. I've got reel-to-reel. I got all kinds of other stuff. I don't have those 2 things.
I've thought about dabbling into reel-to-reel, but that's far too expensive for my budget.
I just happened upon it. I mean, then that sort of started. I wanted to do a display of just ways to watch films at home, and that was part of it. It was I got a Revenge of the Creature, one of the Creatures in Black Lagoon sequels.
That's Clint Eastwood's first movie role.
You're so good. You're damn right. Amazing.
I know that because of my extensive knowledge of Back to the Future trivia. If you don't know it, back to the since now I feel like I need to explain it. In Back to the Future Part 3, before he goes back into 1885 when they're at the drive-in movie theater, and he's like, "Man, Clint Eastwood would never wear this." Doc's like, "Clint who?" And he's like, "Right, you don't know him yet." And he points to a movie poster, which is the poster for Return of the Creature. It's a cute little in joke that
gonna go back in time.
Yeah. But yeah, so. Clint Eastwood's in Return of the Creature.
So
isn't that the one where the creature drowns too?
No, that's The Creature Walks Among Us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. Somehow
he also drowns among us.
Somehow a creature born of the water.
Well, they took his gills, man.
Yeah, they take his gills, and it's weird.
Okay, I haven't actually seen it. I just know that that's how he dies at the end.
It's not great. It's not great.
I mean, he drowns.
Yeah, those latter period Universal monster movies, like really after House of Frankenstein, they kind of go to shit pretty fast. Those are the horror movies that I grew up with. I was never necessarily the biggest slasher guy. The 70s horror I grew up with too. 70s horror is really good, but
I love it.
Yeah, but 80s, 90s horror was never quite, and for whatever 90s horror means. Like, that was never...
Jason Goes to Hell is the epitome of 90s horror, as far as you...
Oh, don't make me defend that movie right now.
You know, for the longest time, I would defend it, and then I did a series on all the Jason movies, and, like, it's still not by far my least favorite, but I was like, man... I used to think that this movie was the shit, and it is not.
No, it definitely isn't. But hey, at least unlike 5, it actually has Jason in it. So that right there makes it not the worst.
It kind of has Jason in it, I guess.
He shows up at the beginning and he gets exploded.
And then he's a worm.
Yes, and then that one dude eats him. Yeah, no, it's and
that one dude melts,
movie.
And it's really cool. The melting scene's cool.
And then it's also got the kid who was in Friday the 13th the series, but he's also in that movie, which was super confused me at the time.
Because the Friday the 13th series is not canonical with the movies at all.
No, but it was supposed to end. The last episode was supposed to be The Mask.
Ah.
That's what it was. That's originally was supposed to be. They were supposed to have The Mask, but for some reason they couldn't.
Starring Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
I
couldn't remember an iconic mask line there. I just lost it. Anyway.
Somebody stop me?
That's a spicy meatball.
Yeah.
There's always time for one last kiss.
Oh, the classic, yeah.
Ah, yes. But yeah, Tyler, I think the big question, the big one, what are you currently geeking out over?
Currently geeking out over, it's a constant thing. Well, we're getting up to, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a wrestling fan, so we've got the Royal Rumble coming up, which is my favorite pay-per-view of the year.
It's the best.
That's always a lot of fun. I've got that going on.
You excited for the ladies Rumble match?
I'm really excited because there's this right now. It sounds silly to say it, but there's so many great female wrestlers. There always have been, but they weren't highlighted. And now they're actually given a chance to do stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to see some people return that have been around for a long time. It's a lot of fun. And I know wrestling isn't everybody's cup of tea, so I don't want to take up too much time on that. But I'm really excited. I'm hoping Beth Phoenix comes back for that. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said some other things.
Yeah, yeah. And
the other stuff, I'm a big video game fan, so right now, and I've got 2 young sons, and so we've been playing a lot of the Nintendo Switch. We've been having a lot of fun with that. Was really excited to see today the new thing they have coming out with all the weird cardboard things. You're going to be able to build these weird cardboard contraptions and put the controllers in there, and you can create a little car that drives around. That looks like fun.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's a few movies I thought coming out. I'm really curious about the He-Man movie that's going to go into.
Yeah, the one that the one that you and I are going to be writing, right?
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be great. No, I think I was actually part of a pitch for the He-Man comic before DC got a hold of it.
Oh, really?
With a buddy, Landry Walker, who does all kinds of Star Wars stuff, and he does write stuff for Image and Batman and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He was a big He-Man fan, and as was I, and so we were working on something there for a minute.
I think that like they have the potential with the He-Man movie coming out to like make it like huge again. You know what I mean? Like, because like
as long as they get Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, but like seriously though, like with like how everyone's looking for the next like I'm not saying it's like Game of Thrones, but like in terms of the fantasy, the big epic. But then you also have, of course, the built-in toys, the audience, the kids. It's been around for 4 years or whatever. Like I think if they did it right and with the the kind of the care and by doing it right, don't forget the humor of Masters of the Universe. You can't make this super dark, gritty Masters of the Universe thing. You got to have that kind of humor to it because it is a guy called He-Man.
That's what I always enjoy movies that don't take themselves too seriously when they're dealing with stuff like that. So hopefully they do it in stride, and hopefully they get Monica from Friends to be in it again. That'd be nice.
Yeah. She plays Evil Lynn or something.
Yeah.
I have to ask, so what is your stance on Masters of the Universe with Frank Langella as Skeletor and Dolph Lundgren as He-Man?
Well, I vividly, to this day, remember going to festival cinemas, going in there, going with my dad, going to see this movie. I was so fucking pumped, so psyched. And halfway through, he turns to me and he's like, looking at me like, what the fuck is this garbage? And I look at him like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. It's got the principle from Back to the Future in it. What more do you need?
Oh man,
everything needs more Strickland.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's hard. It's a hard sell for anybody. I remember actually there used to be a group of friends we used to get together and we would watch stuff and I brought that out one time and afterwards everyone's like, you don't get to pick the movie next time for a long ass time.
That the same thing has happened to me so many times. Whenever I bust out Wild Wild West,
Oh, well, I can't. I don't know if I can back you up on that one, my friend. Although,
one of these days, I'm going to find someone that is with me on Wild Wild
better
West.
song than it is a movie.
Yes,
I can agree to that.
Yes, absolutely.
And I even gave
Jake
them my whole
knows all the words
This
to
is
it.
Jack Kirby's New Gods, the movie, essentially. And trying to break it down. And then someone's all, isn't this really just the script for Cyborg 2 by Jean-Claude Van Damme? And they just didn't make that, and so they made it into fucking Masters of the Universe instead. I'm like, well, yeah. That's technically true.
Yeah. Did you see that thing on Netflix, the Toys That Made Us documentary? It's like 4-part right now, and they have a He-Man episode.
I have not watched it yet. I struggle to find things that my wife and I can watch together, and so that's one of the things that's just earmarked to watch later on. I know I'm going to like it. I know I'm going to be into it.
Yeah, because they do Star Wars, Barbie, G.I. Joe, and He-Man. And of course, I watched Star Wars and He-Man first. I was like, that's like what I remember. Blah blah blah. But the Barbie one's fucking fascinating. Like, for real.
No,
it's fascinating.
I'm legitimately excited. I'm just hoping in the He-Man one that they use the footage of me from the History Channel toy show where my voice is out and I'm going, I love Princess of Power. I love She-Ra.
Wait, you're that?
Did you guys,
wait, are you
serious? Know about that?
I didn't.
No.
What the fuck is your life, Tyler?
You're like Forrest Gump.
It was at New York Comic Con, and I was buying the She-Ra Princess of Power big giant playset, and then there was some guy had a toy show that was on the History Channel for a while there, the Travel Channel. It was called like the Toy Guru or something like that, and it was all about him going around finding toys, and they wanted footage of me buying this thing, and my voice had gone out from so much drinking and yelling the night before, and when my voice goes out, it gets very high, and so. Yeah, for a long time. That if in fact, if you Google my name and History Channel, it'll probably come up because a lot of people had a lot of fun posting that online for a while there. I love Princess of Power. I love She-Ra.
That's fantastic. Oh my god.
Was this like 3 years ago, or like when was this?
It was back when I could spend a ridiculous amount of money on a goddamn boxed She-Ra.
They're bringing She-Ra to Netflix. There's a new She-Ra show coming.
I am very excited about that too. No, I hope it's done right. I hope it's entertaining. That's all I ever care about is if something's entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, damn. I guess, Tyler, before we let you release you back in the wilds of Northern California, is there anything else you want to plug, or is the beef the big thing to look to?
Beef is probably the big thing to look to. Beef #1, February 28th from Image Comics. Get it if you go to your local comic book shop. Let them know that you want to order DEC 170593. That's the first issue of the Beef.
Amazing.
You can also get it digitally if you live in the Ozarks or if your local comic book store sucks.
Well, you heard it straight from the source.
Yeah, if you live in the Bay Area, go to Fantastic Comics in Berkeley. They will have it. They are one of the best local comic book stores that I know of. And you can find me on all the social medias, just my name usually, Tyler Shainline, all one word, TYLER, the rest of it, at whatever.
You got some Twitter gold, man. I just to give a little bit of a taste of the humor of your tweets. I forgot what the total setup was for it, but I posted that GIF of Arnold looking up at the poster of the poster of Rambo, and he flexes and grabs his bicep and looks up and does like whatever and walks away. And you wrote back to me and you go, "That's what I do every time I pass by the poster of you."
Well, and your response was exceptional as well.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, it's the picture of Rambo. No, is it Stallone ripping Ivan Drago's picture off the mirror and say, "This is what I do every time I see a picture of you."
You give as good as you get there, buddy. No, you do a great job too.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Sometimes Twitter can be used for good,
Yes,
folks.
it can.
Sometimes. Well, Tyler, always a pleasure having you on, and I suppose we'll see you, I guess, in about a month and a half in Seattle.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'll be creeping around there. I'll come definitely see you guys. We'll have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. Well, again,
Excellent.
The Beef, February 28th in comic book stores and Comixology. Tyler, thanks again for coming on, man.
No, thank you for having me, guys. Love the show. Love to be a part of it.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.